Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another TNG release. Yes, I've got another of the very hard TNG figures to find. We've got the Giganotosaurus, and this one is actually pretty cool looking. I think it overall has a very fun appearance to it. Maybe not necessarily the most accurate Giga you're going to find anywhere, but it is still a pretty cool looking one. I also quite like the coloration to it from what we can see here on the box art. I do have to give a huge thank you and a massive shout out, of course, to Dino Mike Mac, who helped me yet again to acquire this one, as he seems to be pretty much my saving grace when it comes to acquiring these TNG figures, as so far the majority of them don't seem to be showing up here in the United States. So I was lucky enough to get this thanks to him. But you can see again the box art is pretty much your standard when it comes to TNG. Nothing really too crazy going on with it. You do, one of the sides, there we go, has some information on the species, but that's really about the only difference you're going to see from side to side. So let's pop this box open and check it out. So first of all, we've got ourselves that little booklet that we've had for the last two releases. We now have it in this one as well, so I think it's safe to say, moving forward, most TNG releases are probably going to include the booklet. And the booklet basically just shows off the different figures that are in the line, almost all of which now, after this review, I will have reviewed, except for one, which I don't remember where it is hiding in here. It's the Allosaurus. There we go. That's the only one I think that's in here that I will now have not reviewed, and of course don't have in my collection quite yet. So got to keep an eye out for that one. But again, they very cool booklet that they now are including with these TNG releases. And then here is our Giganotosaurus, and it's pretty fun looking. Let me go ahead and readjust the camera. I thought I had it in a good spot, but apparently I'm wrong. So that's a little bit better, but it is a pretty fun looking figure. Again, it doesn't seem as though TNG really goes too flashy with their colorations on their figures. We could see that that is definitely the same case here. One thing I do notice, though, with a lot of the TNG figures, they have similar style head sculpts. It's like one of those things where you can really tell it's the same sculptor that has sculpted out numerous different dinosaurs. I would say I saw it with the, obviously, this Giga, I can see it, the T-Rex, the Carnotaurus, the Cryolophosaurus, as well as the one Velociraptor. They just have a similar kind of a look to them, I think. So it seems as though whoever the artist is that is sculpting out a lot of the theropods, they seem to be kind of giving them similar looking head sculpts, but of course a little bit different at the same time. The figure again, though, does look really nice, and one thing that I see straight out of the gate that's a little different than what I had seen on the packaging is there's like a greenish tint to some areas of the figure, and I didn't notice that on the actual packaging for it, which is interesting. But it is definitely a really cool looking figure, honestly. I'm definitely a fan of this one, so let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look, and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Giganotosaurus, you can see the skin texture looks pretty decent. There's a good bit of variation to the skin texture, like what you see here looks a bit different from the scaling that you see back there compared to what you see in the palate area. Definitely a good bit of variation to the skin texture here of the face. You can see the paintwork as well looks pretty good. We've got a few different variations of what appear to be like grays and browns, as well as a lighter tone running along the lower jaw. I can even see some hints of like brownish tones or reddish brown tones applied there, maybe with like a dry brushing. We also have a little variation of color up here where we have kind of like a crest moving over the top of the head. You can see like some lighter tones as well as some more of those kind of reddish brown tones. The eye is painted with a yellow, given a black pupil, also sports a nice gloss coat. We have the nostrils sculpted out pretty nicely right there as well. There is, of course, an articulated jaw. That's about as wide as the jaw goes. It doesn't go too wide on this one, which is shocking, but you can see, let me actually go say it. Yeah, no, I was going to say, let me see if I can try to get it open, but you can see straight there, it's definitely not going to open any wider, but you can see a nice pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth. I think that looks pretty good. We've got a nicely detailed tongue in there, and again, some nice looking detail as you move up into the inside of the mouth as well. Very nicely painted, and the teeth, pretty much like you usually see for TNG releases, has like a brownish tone, and then they've painted the white over it, so you can kind of see the brown kind of highlighting around the gum line a little bit. and that looks pretty cool as well. So definitely nicely done. There is also a bit of a gloss coat for the inside of the mouth, and you can again see that jaw articulates really nicely. Does have a bit of an overbite out here though. But as you move back into the body, that's where you start to see those kind of greenish tones pick up. You can see a little, like a slight hint of it right there. You can see more of it down here. You also have some like reddish browns here on the underside of the neck and throat, which is pretty cool. And again, those like grayish brown tones sort of striping and designing through. It looks really nice. The skin texture continues to look very good. You've got all kinds of skin wrinkles and skin folds and stuff. You can also see ridges moving along the back of the Giganotosaurus. They start out with the same darker kind of grayish brown tone that we have, but also have like a little bit of a highlight to the tips with like a reddish tone, or like a reddish brown showing up here and there. Some of them are bent over, and I don't know if it's meant to be that way or if somehow the figure warped in package in transit. I don't know for sure, but these ones here are bent over, and I only see that up there in the head. But if you take a look at the opposing side again, you can see pretty much the same thing, except the Giga has its head turned toward us, so you can see a whole lot of wrinkling and creasing in the skin right there in the neck region. I can also see the ear sculpted out right there, which is something that I think I failed to mention a moment ago. As you move down into the body, you see the darker tones kind of striped down. You can really see that greenish tone, that light green show up right there. Again, more of the reddish brown down here. The scale detail looks very nice in this area as well. Again, you can see quite a bit of variation to the appearance of the skin texture and scales. You've also got like a row of scoots moving down here along the side of our Giganotosaurus. You can make out the shoulder blade right there, and as you move down into the arm, the muscle definition is definitely nicely displayed. We have more of those darker tones down there in the hands, or I mean in the arms. Moving down into the hands, you can see it transitions more to like a brown, and then you've got like a black, potentially, yes, a black for the nails. They're painted pretty nicely. We also have some scoots moving down the fingers. And then as you move back here into the body, you can see the skin kind of scrunching up because the leg's pushing into the stomach. You can also see a striping effect moving down through the thigh right there. Those scoots moving over the hip bone. We continue to have those ridges moving along the back. And I like that the ridges are very like different from each other, like all sorts of different sizes and, you know, just different appearances to them, which is pretty cool. As you move down into the leg, though, you can see the muscle definition quite nicely in both the thigh and the calf. Definitely a nice big bulging calf muscle. You've got the knee right there in the front of the leg. And then you move down into the foot sculpt. That's a pretty nice looking foot sculpt. You can really see how the Giga is currently in the process of moving the foot as the toes are sort of leading. It looks like about to put the foot down, so it's like the foot's coming down and currently and the toes are only touching at this point. You have some nice scoots running down the toes as well. Very crisp, very vibrant detail on this one. The nails don't really have perfect paintwork though. You can see they're not like where the hands, you can see they're definitely painted black. For the nails of the feet, it almost looks like they're unpainted. You can see a dew claw though, and the dew claw definitely looks unpainted. And then you move up into the tail. You've got a few wrinkles back there behind the thigh leading into the tail, and we continue to have like a striping effect as you lead out through the course of the tail. Definitely looking really cool. There's also a nice curve to the tail, nothing major, just a slight sort of curve as the dinosaur moves out. And as you continue to move along the underside, you can see a different type of skin texture and scaling here to the underside. You can also see a cloaca present right there as you move up. Again, everything looks really quite nice, honestly, on the underside as well. The arms are in a different position from one side to the other. I don't know how big of a fan I am of that, but it's not the end of the world. You can just see one arm is lifting up higher, whereas this one is kind of held closer to the body. That's the only really big difference as far as the arms go. As you move back into the stomach region, though, you can see a bit more of the stomach. You can really see the skin stretching off of the stomach because this leg is trailing, so it gives you a better chance to really take in the skin texture and everything, as well as the paintwork of the stomach region of the Giganotosaurus. And of course, the same type of look for the leg. You've got the scoots, the really nice scale detail, that very cool patterning and striping moving down. You can see how the foot is leaving the ground over here as our Giganotosaurus is walking along. Again, those scoots moving down the toes. You can see the dew claw now on the opposing side. And then you lead back up again out into the tail with that very nice curve. So it's obviously not the best Giganotosaurus on the market for sure, but it is definitely a really cool looking figure. Now, as far as the size goes, it is definitely one of the biggest theropods that TNG has released to date. From the snout to the tail, lengthwise, you're looking at about 12¼ inches, or a little over 31 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point is the back of the neck, about 5 inches, or around 12½, maybe approaching 13 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Giganotosaurus from TNG. And you can see it's got a pretty decent size to it. It's not huge, but it's not small either. Definitely fairly nicely sized. For another comparison, we have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus stepping in next to the Giganotosaurus, as well as our group of randoms that we quite often use with the Collect A Deluxe Dimetrodon, Safari LTDU Tyrannus, and Schleich Diabloceratops. And I was just stating how this Giga was one of the largest TNG figures, but I forgot how large their Spinosaurus is. This older version of the Spinosaurus, the old school style, like Jurassic Park style version, is pretty big, definitely bigger than the Giga, and same deal with the more quadrupedal Spinosaurus they have out. It would definitely be a bit bigger than this Giganotosaurus. Then we've got a comparison between the TNG Tyrannosaurus and TNG Giganotosaurus, which you can see they're pretty similarly sized. The Giga may be slightly bigger, but honestly, looking at them straight from the front, it almost looks like the T-Rex is a little bigger. So I'm not really sure if either one is bigger than the other. Kind of looks like the Giga might be slightly bigger, but at the same time, I think it's just too close to tell. We've also got the TNG Carnotaurus next to our Giganotosaurus. And then another figure that is very popular from TNG, we also have their woolly mammoth stepping in here for one more comparison. So this TNG Giganotosaurus is another pretty fun figure coming from them. I really think they produce some awesome figures. Clearly they excel when it comes to prehistoric mammals. That's definitely their strongest area. But the dinosaurs are pretty fun as well. The only thing that's a little bit of an issue for the dinosaurs is I don't really think any of them are particularly accurate. You know, for the most part, they're a little stylized, a little different. Maybe in the future we'll get more accurate dinosaurs from TNG, but I don't know that you'll really find much in the way of accuracy in the TNG line for the dinosaurs. But what you will find are really cool, very highly detailed models. You know, you've got a really nice appearance to this Giganotosaurus. The sculpt looks great when it comes to the fine detail. They've included a lot of really nice skin texture, skin wrinkles, stuff like that. And again, a really cool paint job. I actually love those very slight greenish tints that you see on this that I didn't see in the original promotional images, nor did I see them on the box. So it's always fun when you get a figure in hand and you can really analyze it a little more than what you can with the promotional images to help give you a better idea of what the coloration is. And this one surprised me with how nice the actual colors and paintwork is. The pose is pretty cool, nothing special, just walking along, but it looks nice as a whole. So again, it's definitely another fun figure from TNG. If you are interested in picking it up, like I said, it's a little tricky to get a hold of this one. If I can find a link, I definitely will include it. If I can't now, once I do eventually find a link, I will then come back and edit it and include it then. But one way or another, if you can find this, I definitely recommend grabbing it. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.